Hey everybody, what's up? This is Swoozy's World. Could be your world. Thanks for stopping by, man. I do appreciate it. I really hope everybody's had a pretty great weekend. I hope everybody had a great week. I planned on being here last night, but due to the thunderstorms and electrical stuff and internet going out and all that kind of stuff, was not able to do so. So I figured I'd come back here today and say hi to all you folks. I miss talking to you guys, and that's, you know, gives me going, gives me a good day. So all right, hey, look, I do talk about things that does interest me, and hopefully they'll interest you. I mean, that's the name of the game. And I always start out nowadays with a little bit of a Bible verse or a Bible saying, biblical, something biblical. Just thought I should. It's a good thing to do, and it's something I need to do. So, and maybe you need to listen. Who knows? But this one's kind of easy, kind of simple. Uh, it is to a man's honor to avoid strife, but every fool is quick to quarrel. Amen. Okay, that's Proverbs 20. Uh, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about today. Some things, maybe that worry you, maybe that worry me. Things that we think about maybe on a daily basis that, with all the stuff that's going on in the world, we have concerns. I have concerns. And, sometimes I worry about, maybe paying bills. Maybe you do. Sometimes, I know there's people out there that worry about, when and where their next meal might be coming from. I mean, that can be some of you. I just kind of like talking about it for a minute. Some stuff that bothers me is, like I said, not having enough money to do something with that I need to do. Paying the bills, I'm doing okay on those and stuff like that, like most people. We get by. And it just, it is what it is. But maybe some of you, are, worried about what's going on in the world. I mean, I do. I worry about nuclear war, and I worry about economic downturns. It looks like we're heading for some economic downturns. That's a given. It does look like we're heading for a major World War III issue, whether it becomes nuclear or not. Nobody knows for certain. But those things bother me, and I'm sure they probably bother you. And, sometimes you may be wondering, like, have I prepped enough? I think that all the time. Have I actually stored up enough stuff that I may need? And maybe you think the same thing. You're wondering and worrying about how am I going to pay for all this stuff that I'm trying to stock up so that, because you need stuff. And I know that money is tight pretty much for everybody. You just can't go out and blow a whole load of money on buying, storable food and stuff like that, and trying to get it years at a time or 6 months at a time, because that can be expensive. It can, and it's going up and up, so it's not going to get less. And like I said, I worry about, did I store enough? I know I haven't, and maybe you worry about the same thing. Did I store enough? Have I stored enough? Am I prepared? Are we really prepared for what might come ahead? I worry about that myself. I'm trying to think, I try to be prepared for everything, and I do my best to be prepared for everything, but that doesn't mean I am. I'm human. I have worries. I worry about lights staying on. I worry about EMP taking out everything. It's, it's just something you think about. We all put our faith in God, and we know He's number one, and He's going to take care of pretty much everything. So, man, don't get me wrong on that. But still, we live in real times. You and I, we live in real times, and things can happen. And a lot of us, being human, we're going to worry about that. You might worry about, if your car breaks down, can you fix it? You may worry about a little bit like that. That may be in the back of your head. Maybe if it breaks down, will you have enough money to get it fixed as, in a timely manner that you need it fixed? It can happen. If you own a vehicle and it's out of warranty, prices of stuff fixing it can be very expensive. Parts and labor, if you take it somewhere, can be very expensive. It kind of bugs me a little bit. Both my cars, well, my wife's car's full-time warranty for the next 7-8 years, but mine's pretty much out of warranty, and so something goes down, I have to fix it, and I have to pay for it out of my own pocket, just like you. You might have who knows what may happen to your vehicle. These days, we got to have a vehicle. It's not like it used to be, I guess, decades ago when it was just a luxury to have a vehicle. Now it's, almost mandated you have some kind of vehicle. It's necessary. And like I said, I worry about repairs. Maybe you worry about them too. Uh, like I said, buying groceries, being stocked up, that kind of stuff worries me. Um, health matters can worry me. They may worry you. Maybe you have someone in your family that's not so great in health, and or maybe you yourself is not so great in health. I know I'm not the most perfect in health. I may seem old jolly old soul, but I have AML. That's leukemia is in remission, but I worry about it coming out of remission. Why? Just because I'm human. I worry about that stuff. And maybe you have some kind of a problem. And maybe you're worrying about that coming back if it's gone for a while. I don't know. But I think it's worth talking about. And, I know things bother people, even though we may, like I said, we know the guy upstairs is in control. Doesn't mean we're not going to worry about stuff today or worry about a family member or a friend, your dogs, your cats, you may worry about it. Try to take a dog to a veterinarian and see if it doesn't cost about $120 when you go there every time. That was mine. And, it gets to be rather expensive. She's on some medication. That's another about $100 a month for a dog's medication. I mean, so if you have an animal, you may be worried about paying for some medication if that animal has some kind of problem. So, like I said, there's things that I worry about. There are some things I know everybody worries about. And like I said, the best thing we can do is, try to keep a good attitude. We have to try and keep a good attitude on everything. It's, makes us feel better in a way, and it makes me feel better. Maybe it makes you feel better. But, things happen. Bad things happen to good people. And it's just the way it is, and as long as we're walking this earth, stuff's going to happen. We can't never live a perfect life. Neither you, neither me. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Like I said, I appreciate y'all being here. I really do. If you have any concerns, problems, whatnot, and you want to discuss them, drop me in the comments. We appreciate it. Appreciate a thumbs up, appreciate those thumbs up. But just stop back and think and try not to over worry about something. I know some people worry about a lot of things more so than others, and I happen to be one of them sometimes. But you just you got to do your best to get up every day and have a good attitude on the day, no matter how bad things are. So that's my one saying: have a good attitude every time you get up. And that's just it. It's just the way it's got to be. If you don't, you can get up every day and be mean and mad, ugly, and all that stuff, and have a very bad day. Or you can wake up every morning and have a good attitude and have a very good day. Even if it's a bad day, you have a better day. So, all right, enough. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. We will catch you later. And be safe.